Wholesaling Quickies, the series where I try to get my idea out before your short attention span disappears. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite open-ended questions to ask each and every seller, which is, how'd you come up with that price? Now, the reason why I love asking this question is because it really gives you deep insight to where the seller is coming from in regards to both price and motivation. What I mean by that is, if you're following the closer's formula, you verify that they want to sell. Yes, awesome. How much do you want for the property? $150,000. Then you want to ask them, tell me a little bit about what you got going on. You find out. What I see a lot of times is we get stuck. You guys ask in the comments, RJ, can you do an episode, a video about open-ended questions? Well, yes and no. There's some go-to questions like, how'd you come up with that price? That can elongate the conversation and get them to open up. But the reason why you really want to understand how they came up with that price is not necessarily because you're going to agree to it. It gives you an understanding of their thought process. Sometimes if you say, how'd you come up with that price? They're going to say, because I owe X and I need to walk away with this to move on with my life. Without that money, I can't move on. Okay, well, that makes sense. Now we understand the problem that we have to solve. But if you ask, how'd you come up with that price? And they say something silly like, well, that's what Zillow said, or I talked to a realtor, then that gives you a different perspective and another talking point inside the conversation. One of the things that we always want to do when we talk to the most common type of seller, which is highly motivated, incorrect price, is to educate them. Now, I used this analogy during an implementation call the other day, but when I talk to my children about their homework and they go, hey, Daddy, I don't understand what this question is asking, or I don't understand how to do my homework. I don't walk over there and just give them the answer. That's not educating them. I always make them show me how to find the answer, and I make them educate themselves. Well, we want to do the same thing with the seller. So how'd you come up with that price? Well, Zillow said it, or I felt like I was giving enough room in there to be profit. Okay, makes sense. How much do you think the property would be worth once it's completely fixed up? Ask the seller that. So they're going to tell you a number. And how much work would I have to put into it to achieve that value? Now, let's just use simple math. If the property is worth what you said, and I put into it the number of amount that you gave me for rehab, and then I paid you your asking price after holding costs and closing costs and profit, let's see how much profit I have. And then just walk it through. Does that number make sense or does it not make sense? This is how you truly educate the seller and get them to understand where we're coming in. This is why I never want you guys to do a low ball offer. I want you to truly have a conversation where it makes sense to the sellers where we're coming in on our offers. And that is how you educate them. So every time you ask the seller and you get a number out of them on their asking price, you should always ask the open-ended question, how did you come up with that number? And from there, it opens up the possibilities for you to truly understand where they're coming from, whether they're logical, emotional, it's truly a part of their motivation, or it's just a guess. You're the real estate professional, but you don't just give them the answer. Make them walk you through and explain it to you. And that is how you reverse engineer educating the seller when you're talking to the most common type of motivated seller. Let me know if you guys have used this tactic inside of the comments. Show me some love, like today's video, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on another Wholesaling Quickies.